Hello everyone, welcome back to our class. And today we will talk about the translating course. And our material for today is about form and meaning of translation. First of all, let me introduce the member of this group. They are Ketut Dipa Susastra Dewi, Nimade Wahyu Suganti Cahyani, Putu Mega Darmadianti, Nimade Ratih Ningrat Hariningsih, and the last but not least, Iputu Abdibuana. So, for the first material will be presented by Ketut Dipa Susastra Dewi.
I am Diva. What is translation? In general, translation means the process of transferring written text from one language into another. Then, what is translator? Translator means a person who helps people who speak different language to communicate. According to Larson, in 1984, there are two main types of translation. They are, first, form-based translation. It attempts to follow the form of the source language and it's known as literal translation. For example, I'm hungry in Bahasa Indonesia means saya lapar. The second one is meaning-based translation. It makes every effort to communicate the meaning of the source language text in the natural forms of the receptor language, and it's known as idiomatic translation. For example, I am in hot water. In Bahasa Indonesia means saya sedang dalam masalah. That's all from me. The next material will be continued by Wahyu.
I'm Wahyu. So, what are source language and target language? Source language is a language that is going to be translated. Meanwhile, target or receptor language is the language which is a result of the translation. Before going further to the explanation, one important requirement to be paid attention in doing translation is being fluent in two language. Those are source and target language. Make sure you are able to understand and master the source language so you can make it into another form in the target language without ignoring the meaning. That is important due to the form and meaning as the result later on. The meaning cannot be well transferred if the translator lack of knowledge about the receptor language or in return. You do translation means that you translate the meaning from source language into the target language. You will translate the meaning by way of semantic structure like tenses and grammatical structure. Meaning becomes the most important part in translation. Thus, in doing translation, you may change the form of the language but not content and context of it. So, that's all from me. For the next explanation will be presented by Mega.
I'm Mega. What we do in translation consists of the first is studying the lexicon, grammatical structure, communication situation, and cultural context of the source language text. The second, analyzing the meaning of the source language. We need to analyze the meaning of the source language to have deep understanding about the meaning of that source language. The third is reconstructing appropriate lexicon and grammatical structure of the source language to the receptor language and its cultural context in order to have the same meaning. And then, the characteristics of good translation are the first, it uses the normal language forms of the receptor language. The second, the meaning which is understood by the receptor language speakers should be the same with the source language speakers. The third, it maintains the actual meaning of the original source language text. The actual meaning of the original source text is unchangeable or cannot be changed. Therefore, good translations should maintain the actual meaning. For the next material will be continued by Ratih.
I'm Ratih. Here we are going to talk about translation process. According to Larson in 1984, the translators tend to use idiomatic translation which transfers meaning of the source language text into the natural forms of the target language. Here is the diagram of the translation process according to Larson in 1984. The source language is the text which is going to be translated. The first process that the translator does is discovering the meaning. This will involve the analysis of lexicon, grammatical structure, communication situation, and cultural context of the source language text in order to determine its meaning. This meaning is then re-expressed by using the lexicon and grammatical structure appropriate with the cultural context of the target language. After that, there will be the translation result in the target language or receptor language. In this diagram, we can see the different forms between square used in the text to be translated and triangle used in the translation result. So, why are they different? It indicates that the form of the source language may be changed into the appropriate form of the target language to attain the idiomatic translation as I mentioned before. For the example of translation will be explained by Abdi.
Hello everyone, I am Abdi and I will explain about the examples of the translation. So here I have provided you with 3 examples. So first of all, I would like to re-explain to you about our materials. It is about the form and meaning in translation. So my friends also already mentioned that form deals with the literal meaning or literal translation, while the meaning deals with the idiomatic translation. So here, from the first examples, as what my friends have already mentioned before and already explained before, here we have to, first of all, we have to check the structure of it, the grammatical structure of the source language before we are going to translate it into the target language. So here the example is, this is my bicycle. So the translation will be like, ini adalah sepeda saya. It may sound not natural because I already translated with the more literal way. So the translation will be like this. So if it takes for example, ini sepeda saya, it can be also acceptable, but here I would like to show you the literal translation. And then for the example number 2, I love apples. So here I give you the translation, saya suka apel. Why I put only apple and why love can be translated into suka? Because in Indonesia, the word cinta, or you only use it when you do it, I mean like you like people, I mean like love people. While if you use the word love with the noun, it doesn't make sense. So now here I put saya suka apel, and it is acceptable and it is more natural than the first example. While on the third example, I put here, I broke my leg. So why the translation becomes kakiku patah, not saya mematahkan kaki saya? It is because it is an idiomatic translation. Broke my leg here means like it can be interpreted into 2 meanings, that I accidentally broke his legs or I accidentally got his leg broken. So here in this case, I broke my leg can be interpreted into kakiku patah. So if you got any questions, you can ask our groups later on. And I think that's all about our materials for today. And thank you for your attention and goodbye.